choice, and identify consistent routines. Those are good prevention strategies. Another good prevention strategy is behavior momentum.
And I've learned this. And actually, I was going to tell you, Catherine, I did this last night with my little one, right? And so really, essentially what this is, I'm going to tell you this, it worked, is we really want to reinforce that behavior for our student, kind of give them the big kudos, right? To keep pushing them on. And it doesn't have to correlate to math or a subject that may be difficult. So for instance, if I'm teacher and Catherine is my student here, right? And I know we're going to have some challenges. I know math is coming up, right? It's my next subject. Here we go. Part of my lesson. Got to keep moving for the day. I'm going to set up Catherine with this idea, this notion of reinforcement. And so that looks like so many different things. So Catherine, we're working on maybe geography. Catherine, you're doing phenomenal. I love that you're focused, right? I'm really being specific with behavior that I want to see. And Catherine is like, wow, this is great. Like, I'm all right. I feel great about this. I feel great about the day. Miss Natalie is like, okay, we're good now. We're good from yesterday, right? And so I'm now moving into the math lesson. And what I'm going to do is really provide, again, some success for Catherine. Be it, maybe I'll provide her with a few lessons, but I'm still kind of encouraging her. I'm saying, wow, Catherine, that is great. Because maybe we've landed into multiplication, for instance, right? And maybe Catherine is really great at addition. I'm going to still keep motivating her and say, this is great, Catherine, you're doing great with your addition. You know what? Can you try to do these multiplication? And so instead of Catherine usually getting very angry or again, crumpling it up and walking away, she's going to put her best foot forward because I've been doing some of the behavior momentum throughout the time frame with her, right? I've been pushing her, I've been encouraging her, really encouraging, right? And so that language there, the high P consequence is high probability sequence that this behavior is going to keep going. Catherine is just going to have that momentum of, I got this, I could do this. And we can then kind of move forward there, right? And hopefully she will be successful throughout that day. And I like the fact that it doesn't necessarily have to correlate to maybe a subject, right? Catherine could be just like, all right, I attempted to do this multiplication. Natalie, teacher, was pushing me on. We are pushing me in a positive way, right? Reinforcing. And we may move to another activity. And Catherine's like, I'm going to try my best, right? She's still going because, again, I'm fueling her with that reinforcement to keep moving, keep focusing. And which, again, is another trick that I use. Not a trick. That's not a trick, right? It's a prevention strategy that I use with my little one. When he was fearful of reading in front of Seesaw, there's an application he has to read. And he is nervous about it. And so I was really doing some like, hey, you got this, let's move. And any assignment we were doing, I was fueling him with re-encouragement. And when we got to that point of filming, he's like, okay, Mom, I'm going to try. I said, yeah, that's awesome, right? And so as a first grader, when we're already embarrassed and there's things happening, this really did work for him. I appreciate that behavioral momentum. I was building him up as he was doing some of his math or some of his work. And when we got to that point of Seesaw, he was confident. He's like, okay, I can do this. And so that was a big aha for me, Catherine. So thank you for that. I was able to put it in place, right?
Yay, Natalie. See, we love ABA.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll want some more of that. All right. And so another piece when we look at those prevention strategies is high rates of opportunities to respond, right? We know if we give students an opportunity to respond, we're going to get them engaged. We're going to increase correct responding, and we're going to increase that desired behavior, the behavior that we do want to see in the classroom setting, right? And so when we consider that, here are some examples of what that can be. I'm sure you guys have tons of things that you're already doing within the classroom setting, be it individual responding, core responding, or even response cards. This is where I know Kahoot has come to be a big play in that. Jamboard has been a key play in this because now we're using technology, right? What other ways? There's so many different ways of how we get our students to respond, to engage within the lesson. I had a teacher who had a randomizer, and she took a toilet paper roll and would put it, she had sticks for all her students. And so she would randomly have that randomizer, which is the toilet paper roll, because there were certain students that she wanted to make sure that we're engaged, and just make sure that she was being equal across the board. I love it. Thank you. Partner talk. Yes, absolutely. Right. Elbow partner, whatever that looks like. Absolutely. Right. We're trying to engage our students in all of that, and whatever that looks like to get them motivated, to get them encouraged. It's one, again, prevention strategy there when we look at those opportunities to respond.
And just to add on, besides it being a good prevention strategy, as educators, using, for example, response cards, if you see the A, B, C, D at the bottom, you could print that out, make your own, and give one to each student. And then they can just pinch it and hold it up, and you can check for understanding right there. So as an educator, besides them being engaged, you can check, do I need to pre-teach? Do I need to stay on this lesson, or can I move on? Because you can see everybody. A, if you're ready to move on. B, pinch B if you are ready to, if you need a little bit more practice. Pinch C if you're like, I don't understand none of this. We'll repeat the lesson, repeat teaching, right? Or D, ready for the next lesson, right? And so those are pinch cards. Or for our younger learners, you can even do like the pictures. Or for like, middle and high, it could just be thumbs up if you understand, 2-minute peace sign if you think you need a little bit more support, just so you could see, can I move on? And then they're also engaged because they're like waiting. I need to know what the question is. I need to be paying attention because I need to know what card to pinch, what color to pinch, right? I need to know, she might call on everybody needs to be holding it up, or everybody's choral responding.
Absolutely. I love Dr. D noting with partner talk, sometimes have the listening partner report out to support active listening too. Yes, powerful skill sets, right? That we're learning. And even when we consider and look at SEL too, right? Sorry, another one I like to do, also do fist to five. Yes,
that's exactly. I saw this in one classroom, very similar, while I was visiting. That's why I'm like, there was a thumbs up and a peace sign and all that, because as I was visiting a classroom one day, I saw something like this, and I'm like, this is such a great idea for engagement and just for checking for understanding. Absolutely.
All right. And so again, just to glean on all the resources that are available. So here's the top 10 tier 1 practices to support all students, right? Considering social, emotional, behavioral well-being. Some of those things we've been talking about, right? Your physical environment, how set up are you for success for that component? Those develop and explicitly teach routines, right? And I appreciate Catherine saying, what does it look like when students entering and when they're leaving, right? Those routines throughout the day for student. Make sure we're defining and teaching those 3 to 5 school-wide expectations throughout that classroom setting as well. That prompt active engagement, which we looked at some different ways to engage our students. Providing prompts, we're actively supervising, providing that specific praise, use error correction, the 5-to-1 ratio, right? More positives, more positives than correctives, right? And then obviously collect and use data, right? We need to really guide and say, hey, what's working, what's not? As a team, what can we do differently to really support our students? And so this resource there that's noted, the supporting students with disabilities in the classroom within a PBS framework. Yes, it says students with disabilities, but that's encompassing of all our students, right? Those are our students. And so no matter what label they may have, we're going to support them. And even those supports look great even for gen ed students, right? We need to be able to share all of those interventions, all of those supports, no matter what student, right? Where they're all our students. And so as we consider this, we need to dive into those teaching strategies, Catherine.
Yes, so we have now talked about our ACE from the ABC contingency, and we will move on to the B and the C and dig deeper into SEL. But before that, I think Natalie and I have been talking. And I think that we are going to have a 5-minute break, just a quick 5-minute break to kind of, refill your coffee, look away from the computer, check your email. Hopefully not. It'll still be there when you finish at 11. And we'll see you back in 5 minutes.